pretty soon once we walked into the locker room and just went back on the field and warmed up for kickoff, because if the looks weren't right, then we weren't going to go for it. But looks were great, so just executed, and ball bounced right into Lewis's arm, so it's perfect.
So what's the halftime like for you then? You find out you're doing that, you have a while to kind of think about it.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine thinking about it, because like execution during the week was great. I had confidence, I was kicking the ball well, and it was actually my first play of the game because we hadn't kicked off in the first half or anything. So just proving, or just making that first opportunity, every opportunity count on the field, especially with special teams, is super important. So just using the opportunity was really my thought process.
Have you executed an onside kick like in a game situation before?
Back in high school, but nothing really like what we had there, like surprise onsides in high school and stuff like that, but through college now.
What was that like, kind of doing that in the moment and seeing that work out?
Yeah, it was exciting. You could feel the atmosphere with our crowd, and definitely on our sideline, and I felt like that was something that really helped us move forward, just the energy, and we just need to bring that energy throughout the game, because obviously the crowd's not always going to be on our side depending on if we're home or away, so just making the most of those big plays and carrying that momentum forward.
Coach mentioned your soccer background, and when you play, that's where you have to be able to manipulate the ball with your feet and be able to kick it different ways, and how that kind of helps you. I mean, how much does that play when you do something like an onside kick and you've got to hit it just right to get it to bounce right?
Yeah, it definitely is an advantage I feel like I have as a kicker. Just my soccer background went all the way back from when I was probably like 4 years old, playing in the backyard with my siblings and all the way through high school. So just getting your feet on the ball, like knowing how it's going to bounce, and just messing around in the indoor too with our specialists, just seeing where the ball is going to bounce, where it's going to like hit, and that kind of stuff. So definitely helped a lot.
There's plenty of kickers that have a soccer background, but how did you go from playing soccer to becoming a kicker?
Yeah, so it was my sophomore year of high school, and my dad and I were talking, and he was like, "What's kind of your goals?" And I said I want to play college sports. I didn't really care what it was. Definitely thought it was going to be soccer from there. Then football took off that sophomore year, had a few game winners that year, and then just the football recruiting took off, and I kind of put soccer second to football. Still was playing soccer in high school all the way throughout, but doing those at the same time. So football really took off from my sophomore year, and that's kind of where it progressed.
Is there any moment in that year where that kind of made you realize that was kind of your path?
First game was I had a 37-yard game winner at the buzzer. That was against Pike my sophomore year, and from that moment, everybody was running on the field chanting my name, and I was like, "Oh, this is pretty cool. These Friday Night Lights." So that was kind of the moment that I was like, "This could be a real deal." So.
What's the technique or strategy that goes into kicking an onside kick?
Just hitting the ball where you want to at the right pace, because obviously footballs are bouncing everywhere. Yeah, you don't know exactly where you're going to get it. So if you want a big bounce, you're swinging a little bit harder, middle of the ball. If you wanted a little low dribbler like we did on Saturday. So.
How do you kind of handle the pressure of moments like that, or like kind of the game-winning field goals we talk about? How do you kind of get in the right headspace?
Just trust the preparation that you've been through before, because at the end of the day, you've put in thousands of reps, and through the summer with our group, like we would all come out on, I think it was Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we would get those live reps in, and obviously having Sean throwing perfect balls every time, and James is a great holder. So just trusting the process and trusting your executions.
What were maybe the conversations like in halftime with Coach Allen or T-Garden, like when you guys decided that you wanted to go with the onside?
It was just be ready for surprise right. That's all I got, so just mentally prepared that way.
When you're setting that up, like, is there a discussion of what onside kick you feel most comfortable with? Because there's like different ways to do it. You may go the high bounce or like the one up the middle, but you.
Depends on the week. Depends on what the opponent's giving us. At the end of the day, just try to execute what you're going for that week, and then see if there's a different game plan the week following.
Is Lou the target to recover that? Because he said he is, because he has the best hands on the team.
He was the target this week, so we had a few guys that were going to go block out, and then he was going to be the one recovering. So.
Apologize if this is a dumb question, but does the playing surface affect how the ball bounces at all?
Yeah, absolutely. The turf we got out on our practice field is a little bit thicker, so I was practicing mostly in the indoor because we had been to Lucas Oil over in fall camp, and we knew kind of the surface was very similar from indoor to Lucas Oil, so I knew the bounces that were kind of going to come from in there.
Did you practice it at all during that one practice at Lucas Oil?
No.
Is that something a lot of kickers are aware of, that maybe a lot of people and a lot of other football players aren't, just the surface, difference in surface each time?
Surface is definitely huge. Grass versus turf, how thick the turf is, basically how new it is. So all those things kind of come into play. You don't want to think about it too much because at the end of the day, you're trying to hit the same ball every time. But sometimes it'll definitely change your rotations and everything like that. So.
Throughout fall camp, what was the kicking battle like going kind of going head to head with Nico a little bit?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, Nico's a super special kicker and super talented, and he's going to have a great future. But just honestly, the way he pushed me once he came back from his groin issues a little bit, he was just pushing me day in, day out, and I was giving him the knowledge of being a college football player. So we had a great relationship, still do. He's a great kid, and he's going to be super successful. But just going back and forth, just the competition was huge and kind of puts you more in a game-like situation because every ball in fall camp is going to matter at the end of the day because we're competing. So.